Hi everyone, and welcome back to Improved Version, a channel dedicated to sharing profound knowledge on holistic self-development through the transformative power of books, the soothing influence of music, and the lifelong journey towards self-actualization. We are honored to have you here as we explore one of the most complex, yet beautiful aspects of the human experience, the quest for true, lasting love. We have almost always been led to believe that a lasting love requires the joint effort of both partners to grow together. It is a common sentiment shared by many people that for a relationship to succeed, both individuals must meet in the middle, working side by side to mend the cracks. In fact, many of you have shared your stories with Improved Version, expressing a deep sense of sadness and saying that if only you both had listened to this advice, read the right books, and changed together at the same pace, perhaps your relationship would not have ended in such heavy regret. We tend to think that relationships are strictly a matter between two people, a shared responsibility that demands equal participation. However, in reality, many people fall into a painful deadlock when they realize that no matter how hard they try to fix things, their individual changes only seem to create 50% of the necessary result. You might find yourself working tirelessly to improve, yet the other half of the bridge remains unbuilt. Each person has their own rhythm, their own specific needs, and their own timing for growth. You may find yourself craving for your partner to be in perfect sync with you, but the distance in the relationship still exists. This gap often leads to a dynamic where one side constantly sacrifices, while the other takes the upper hand, ultimately leading to a cycle of endless arguments and resentment. In the book I'm sharing with you today, the esteemed author and psychologist Christopher Moon shares a profound and radical perspective. He suggests that an intimate relationship is essentially your own story. While you may still be believing that love requires two people to share the burden and change together to endure, the author challenges this by suggesting that perhaps you haven't yet fully grasped the deeper lesson of love that fate has reserved specifically for you. Throughout this book, Moon conveys a message that beautifully blends modern psychology with the timeless insights of Buddhist philosophy. He reminds us that in the grand theater of your life, out there is no one else, there is only you. The author affirms that your own internal efforts to change, your own awakening, and your own healing are actually enough to make your marriage and your love life better. You don't need to wait for the other person to catch up to start your own transformation. I will tentatively translate the title of this transformative work as Intimate Relationships, a Bridge to the Soul. The author believes that your lover or your life partner does not appear in your life by mere accident. They appear to help you understand yourself, to heal your hidden pains, and to help you finally touch the truest, most authentic version of yourself. This book will guide you through a profound journey consisting of several vital stages: the height of passionate love, the depths of conflict that seem to shatter your spirit, and the ultimate choice between living in emotional numbness or true happiness. Along that journey, I believe you will find a vital lesson for yourself, especially as we approach Valentine's Day. I hope this discussion will be a meaningful gift to help you finally understand the landscape of your own heart. Now, please listen closely to this wisdom. This is a lesson in escaping the illusion of the halo and returning to one's inherent self. The author begins by teasing the deceptive nature of the relationship of a couple. In the very first stage, which he calls the halo stage, this is very similar to the halo effect in social psychology, where your perception is clouded by a glowing light that makes you feel that the other person is absolutely amazing. In this initial phase, it feels as if you have finally found your ideal partner. the person who completes you and answers all your prayers. In this stage, people think they are deeply in love and being loved in return. But the author points out a hidden reality. That love is often only a mechanism to satisfy an unmet need from your own childhood. During your formative years, every human being seeks two fundamental things: a feeling of belonging and the sense of self-affirmation. If a child does not receive one or both of these things from their primary caregivers, they will spend the rest of their lives searching for a romantic partner who can finally give them that missing feeling. Paradoxically, to attract someone we admire, we often try to pretend we already have the very qualities we feel we lack. For example, when someone deeply wants a partner, they will confidently pretend to be the perfect lover. They tell themselves that a confident, successful person would never like someone who is too insecure or broken. So they put on a mask and try to appear incredibly confident in front of the other person, even if that is not at all true on the inside. During this process, when the other person treats you well and validates your mask, you might think you have found true love. But don't forget that the other person is doing the exact same thing. They are also looking for someone who can fulfill their own hidden needs. They are wearing similar masks, hiding their own insecurities. Therefore, during the initial dating phase, you're not truly in love with the other person's soul. It is just an exchange of illusions to satisfy unhealed desires from the past. It is two ghosts trying to find a home in each other. When this mask inevitably begins to fall off and the mundane reality of daily life sets in, expectations begin to rise, and you start wanting to change the other person to fit your original fantasy. The book warns us that expectations are the road to hell. The more expectations you have for how your partner should act, the more you will eventually believe you are lacking love. Because when you focus on what you don't have, you want it even more, and the perceived gap becomes a source of agony. This belief of being unloved, formed since childhood, is deeply ingrained in our subconscious. It is fueled by memories of parental scolding, coercion, control, and mental pressure. These experiences from the past might make you feel hurt today and lead you to think you didn't receive enough love from your parents. But the author suggests this is a fundamental misunderstanding. Think about it from a different angle. If you're a parent yourself, and you find that you sometimes cannot understand your children, or you behave harshly, interfering because you want them to do things your way, does that mean you don't love them? The answer is definitely no. You love your children very much, but you're limited by your own stress and your own history. We need to understand that everyone is essentially a first-time parent, learning as they go. As Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully said, parents are often just children who grew up from the cracks in the pavement. They themselves suffered in their own childhoods, not knowing how to properly love or express that love. But that doesn't mean they were empty or lacked love for you. None of us truly lack love. This is what the Buddha taught when he spoke of our nature being inherently abundant. Therefore, you need to absolutely believe that you truly already possess love within yourself, and you do not need to desperately demand that others meet your expectations to feel whole. But how can you easily let go of these heavy expectations? Remember, letting go is not just an intellectual exercise. It is about doing it from the heart. The most important tool is gratitude, but strangely, it doesn't start with being grateful towards your spouse. First, you must be grateful to your parents. Recall the feelings from your childhood. No matter how much hurt they may have caused, try to look at them through the eyes of an adult. You can choose to understand, to forgive, and to respect them, finally stopping the cycle of resentment. Be grateful for their role in your nurturing and upbringing. and be grateful for the spiritual connection that allowed you to be here on this earth, to experience this life. Only through this foundational gratitude can you truly return home, returning to your inherent self and the wellspring of love within you. So, how do you know if you have truly let go of your baggage? The author says to look at the current state of your relationship with your spouse. If you no longer have those nagging thoughts like, why did he do this to me? Or if she really loved me, she would do this, and you instead feel a natural flow of love between you two, then you have succeeded. But if you don't feel lighthearted, if you still constantly weigh the pros and cons of the relationship, and if you still feel the sting of old hurts, then perhaps you haven't completely let go yet. Or if you have let go of one thing but discover that another strong expectation was hiding right behind it simply means you need to continue practicing the lesson of letting go in your daily life. True love is not a game of filling a void, but a journey back to the wholeness you already possess. A wise letter once stated, "You have cried enough. Now it is time to open the door of your heart where the whole universe is waiting for you." When you dare to remove the artificial halo and the masks of perfection, you will finally meet your loved one not through their appearances or their social status, but through the authenticity of two awakened souls. You will be like two mountains standing side by side. You don't need to lean on each other to be higher, you both just stand tall in your own majesty. Love is meeting in its original, raw state, not bargaining over the broken cracks of forgotten dreams. Every life has cracks, but as the saying goes, that is how the light gets in. Many people, unfortunately, overlook this lesson in the first stage, and they continue blindly into the second stage, disillusionment. This is the stage where the two people have become much closer, but that proximity causes unavoidable arguments to burst forth. In this phase, for specific deviant behaviors often appear as a warning sign. The first is the constant need for attracting attention, where one partner acts out to be noticed. The second is the power struggle, a silent or a loud war where each person desperately wants the other to obey and conform to their will. The third is a vengeful mentality, where one partner intentionally makes the other uncomfortable in specific ways. They know the other person dislikes just to get even. The fourth is self-isolation, a state of cold withdrawal where a person accepts that no one can change anyone and simply gives up, burying their emotions in a blinding, heavy silence. So why is it that love, which starts so beautifully, inevitably seems to bring suffering? As the wisdom goes, what we refuse to confront within ourselves eventually becomes our destiny. Every argument you have with your partner is essentially a cry for help from the wounded child living within you. When the other person's actions touch the hidden scars of your childhood, you often lack the courage to open your heart and be vulnerable. So you choose instead to scream with anger. Facing childhood pain is like standing before a terrifying storm. We fear being destroyed by the truth, so we use resentment as a temporary shield. Anger is a magical force that both paralyzes your pain and deceives you, creating a false illusion of power and control. As the Buddha taught, holding onto anger is like clutching a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned first, yet you remain immersed in the feeling. You become a victim who uses anger to demand recognition for past shortcomings and losses. Arguing with a lover is sometimes just the way a helpless child, who was unable to resist their parents years ago, finally shouts, "See that I exist? Love me." In that moment, you feel you're right. But here, the author poses a very profound question. Do you want to pursue being right? Or do you want to live happily in reality? If you continue to argue and fight for power, You're only sacrificing the other person to protect your own ego. You still haven't faced the actual wounds from your childhood. So, what is our lesson at this stage of disillusionment? It is to consider this very disillusionment as a gift, not a curse in your fate. As the poet Rumi said, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." The strange thing is that when we finally dare to face the pain becomes our greatest teacher. This gift will guide you to understand a difficult truth. Making a marriage or a relationship better does not always mean that two people have to stay together forever. A happy heart is not measured by the length of time spent together, but by the depth of understanding achieved. If you can view the breaking of your illusions as a gift, you can finally embark on the path to true maturity. You can use communication to achieve results that satisfy both of you, always prioritizing the joy and happiness of both partners equally. Simultaneously, you must understand that if you're just trying to force things to work while feeling that you're constantly at a disadvantage or losing your soul, it might be better to end it. Breaking up is actually a good solution if the breakup stems from a place of love and clarity. That is when both people realize they cannot provide what the other truly needs, and that their core personalities are simply incompatible. In such cases, being together is just a form of slow torture and torment. Sometimes, letting go is the highest way to cherish a beautiful love that simply cannot exist in a domestic container. Every river eventually needs to flow into a larger body of water. Not all banks are meant to be strong and parallel forever. Clinging to a relationship out of a fear of loss is like trying to hug sand tightly. The tighter you squeeze, the faster the happiness slips through your fingers. When love becomes a battle of all or nothing, and you believe that you need that specific person for your complete happiness, you inadvertently become the director of a play of ignorance. You will engage in the manipulative behaviors mentioned before, or you will accept a life of silent compromise which isn't a way out, but a prison you built for yourself. Many people use the excuse of staying for the children to continue a loveless union, but the author warns, do not use your children as a pretext to turn your family into a prison without bars. Children do not need perfect parents who pretend. They need parents who are brave enough to live true to themselves. A child growing up in a home devoid of genuine love will carry those inherited wounds into their own future. They will be like a seed sprouting in the darkness no matter how hard they try to grow. They will likely become a crooked tree. At this point, the author and many wise mentors advise that letting go is not a failure. It is the courage to rewrite your destiny. As the Japanese proverb says, a falling flower has no regrets, because it has already given its fragrance and its beauty to life. Sometimes, true love is about daring to say goodbye not because the love is gone, but because you want to give each other the chance to find a sky wide enough to fly, to grow, and to finally complete the lessons of your individual lives. This leads us to the next stage, the stage of self-reflection. This is about facing the darkness to find the inner light. The journey of human growth is very much like a journey from the dark night toward the dawn. If a person can accept the stage of disillusionment, they can move into this deep reflection. The author describes this stage as the longest dark night of the soul, because it requires you to directly confront the internal cracks and shadows you have spent your whole life avoiding. As Socrates famously said, an unexamined life is not worth living. Self-reflection is the gateway to finally meeting the truest version of yourself. On this part of the journey, you will likely identify 3 recurring roles that people play in relationships: the victim, the persecutor, and the savior. In the role of the victim, you are immersed in lamenting your fate and blaming the other person for your misery. In the role of the persecutor, you turn your pain into a weapon. venting your rage onto your partner or even onto yourself. The image of self-harm and anger, whether it is physical or mental, is proof of the dominance of darkness in the soul. Finally, there's the role of the savior. This role seems noble on the surface, but it is actually a dangerous trap. You try to fix or solve everyone else's problems as a way to avoid looking at your own, and in doing so, you prevent them from standing on their own feet. This behavior creates a painful triangular vortex, trapping couples in a dark dance as they constantly switch roles between these 3 points. One day you're the victim, the next you're the persecutor, and then you try to be the savior. Even when both parents try to play the savior for their children, they often focus so much on the child's problems that the child unintentionally becomes a lifelong victim. To escape this labyrinth, the author advises us to be incredibly brave, to follow the truth no matter where it leads, and to overcome 5 specific psychological traps. The first trap is blind loyalty to your family of origin. Many people lose their own happiness because they put the opinions and traditions of their parents above the needs of their own marriage. They are willing to sacrifice their own peace to protect a family honor that is often built on secrets. It is heartbreaking to see someone say, "Whether my spouse is right or wrong, I will always stand by my parents." This unconscious loyalty makes them a permanent replica of the toxic habits they inherited. The second trap is the self-serving mentality, where love is treated like a business transaction. When you do things for your partner only with a self-serving mindset, you unintentionally nurture a demanding person. It is a law of cause and effect, silent. Martyred suffering on one side will eventually give rise to insatiable demands on the other. You must understand that if you do something for someone, but you don't feel a sense of joy in the doing, you have fallen into this trap. You will eventually feel that everything is a burden, and that is a recipe for a painful relationship. Thirdly, there's the dependence mentality. This is the belief that you literally cannot live or function without the other person. This isn't love, it is a loss of your inherent fulfillment. The fourth trap is projection, where we project the things we hate most about ourselves onto our partner. If you're constantly criticizing your partner for being selfish, it is very likely that you're rejecting a deep selfishness within your own heart. Finally, the fifth trap is the temptation of death. This isn't always about physical death. It can be about the death of the relationship or the desire to end it all, just to escape the lessons. But ending a situation prematurely only means you will have to face these same lessons again and again in different forms until you finally learn them. The author advises that to overcome these traps, you must combine all the lessons from the previous stages. You must constantly reflect and uphold 3 core principles. First, do not be afraid of disagreements. See your conflicts as a gift and opportunity to heal the fear of deprivation you've carried since childhood. As the Buddha taught, suffering awakens Bodhi. Suffering is the very seed of your enlightenment. Second, break free from the narrow confines of the specific issue. Don't get stuck in the he said, she said arguments about who is right. Instead, look for the deep, unmet human need hiding behind the conflict. And finally, take 100% responsibility for your life. You are the master of your own karma and the sole inheritor of its results. This is a core teaching from the Dhammapada. If you truly know that your life and your marriage are your own internal affairs, that you're facing your partner only as a way to face and adjust your own state of mind, then you will be able to take full responsibility. You will stop feeling like a victim of others, and you will stop feeling hurt by their actions because you realize they are only mirrors of your own internal landscape. This journey of self-reflection is not a path paved with roses, it is a bumpy, difficult retreat through the dark night, but it is the only way to find the dawn within. The light will only shine when you finally dare to face yourself. Now we reach the final and most beautiful stage, the stage of enlightenment, where love transforms into the most brilliant light. This is when you finally feel the torrent of genuine love flowing within you, unobstructed by the ego. Enlightenment in a relationship is not a final destination, but a constant state of awakening amidst the impermanent flow of life. It arrives like the first light of dawn, unexpected and miraculous. Sometimes it comes through a sentence in a book, or a single tear that finally touches the crack in your soul. As Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh said, enlightenment is always available here and now. We just need to open our hearts to receive it. This stage doesn't require a map, because when you dare to live fully with love, the light finds its own way. A key quote from the book acts as a philosophy for this awakening. If you want to get somewhere the fastest way, the only way is to realize that you're already there. This reminds me deeply of Lao Tzu's philosophy of non-action, or Wu Wei. True happiness doesn't lie in the exhausting journey of searching for a perfect person, but in the act of letting go until you become one with the universe. How can you be already there in this very moment? The author's method for enlightenment is to treat love as a verb, not a noun or a feeling. When a conflict arises, do not choose silence or argument. Instead, ask yourself, if I truly loved this person right now, what would I do? The answer won't come from your logical mind, but from proactive, selfless action, cooking their favorite meal, giving them a gentle hug, or simply listening to them without a single word of judgment. As the philosopher Eric Fromm once wrote, love is not a random emotion you fall into, but a commitment you nurture through every small gesture. It is like the quantum tunneling effect in physics, where an atom overcomes a seemingly impossible barrier. Through the high-frequency energy of love, we can break through any conflict by giving proactively, without demanding a single thing in return. At this stage, you also learn the art of letting it be. Much like the melody of the legendary Beatles song, this is not indifference or giving up. It is an absolute, unshakable trust in the laws of life. When your partner is upset or complaining, don't try to fix them or join their misery. Simply say to yourself, allow it to be. Allow the anxiety to arise. Allow the clouds to pass, and quietly observe the situation. This is the spirit of conformity and submission to the universe. In spiritual practice, this letting go of resistance is what harmonizes the soul with the cosmos. When you can allow impermanence to exist, you realize that you can do everything according to the true nature of your soul. Ultimately, that is what unconditional love is. When we stop demanding that our partner be this way or that way to make us happy, the space between the two of you automatically fills with the purest energy of love. The great scholar Wang Yongming called this the purest form of conscience, acting from your center, without any attachment to the result. A wife cooking for her husband is no longer about earning praise. It is about the simple, pure happiness of giving warmth. Remember, enlightenment in love is not a permanent, static state. It is found in those crystalline moments when you suddenly touch your soul, like a wave dissolving into the vast ocean or a bird spreading its wings to embrace the infinite blue sky. When you finally dare to love with all your heart, all the challenges and difficulties of your life are transformed into pure magic. Love doesn't need wings to fly. Love is already the sky itself. Through these 4 stages, the halo, disillusionment, self-reflection, and enlightenment, I believe you have gained a much deeper understanding of your relationships and your own heart. You will realize the profound truth that we often seek a life partner only to fulfill our own internal voids. We put immense pressure on them to be our salvation, but changing another person is impossible. And that is the fundamental reason for our arguments. When that disappointment piles up, marriage can feel like a cage for both people. But now you know the way out. The only way to escape that cage and find true, liberated love is to pass through these 4 stages and realize that the root of every problem and every solution lies entirely within yourself. The journey of love is like a boat navigating for great waves, taking you from dazzling, blind glory to bitter, cold disillusionment, and then through the dark night of the soul to the final dawn of enlightenment. You must bravely face your own darkness to find the light, for as it has been said, the most beautiful light is always found in the deepest darkness. When 2 souls finally dare to shed their shells of fear and expectation, they will meet in their original, pure essence. I wish you the courage to love with all your heart, so that every single step you take on this earth leads you back to the sanctuary of your own soul. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep exploration. If you found this discussion helpful, or if it brought a sense of peace to your heart today, please share it with others who might be struggling in their own relationships. And if you want to continue this journey of growth with us, please take a moment to support the channel. Hit that like button to help this message reach more people. And most importantly, subscribe to Improved Version. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you're always the first to join us for our latest weekly deep dives into the books that can truly change your life. Your presence and your engagement give us the strength to keep sharing this profound knowledge. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, love yourself, be true to yourself, and keep moving toward the light. Take care.